Fuck off.
The Fallout New Vegas multiplayer mod has just released one of its biggest updates, Update 4.74. Dead Money and Old World Blues have been added, as well as perk changes and an overhaul of the PvP system. In celebration of this massive mod, I thought I'd create a video to teach players the basics of NVMP. Installing the NVMP mod is pretty easy, but before we install anything, the first thing you're gonna want to do is search up NVMP on Google, obviously, and I'll have the link in the description. And you're gonna want to join their Discord, because in order to actually play the mod, you need to connect your Discord to NVMP. So you're gonna want to do that. Then when you're here, just click install, and that will bring you to their wiki. And before you kind of install anything, you're gonna want to make sure you have Net Framework 4.61 and Microsoft Visual C++. And honestly, I don't know what these exactly are. Make fun of me, but you probably already have them installed, is what I found. But if you don't, then just go ahead and download those. And for your actual Fallout, you got to make sure it's a Steam copy and that you there's no mods on it except for the ones that are supported, and that's all on this website. But you also need all the DLC. So after you come on here and you got all that, you're gonna want to click the installer, and then click this. And I'm not gonna do it because I already have it installed, but it's gonna download it. And then you'll just click that, and it will ask you where your Fallout New Vegas directory is. And if you don't know how to find that, you're gonna click here, go to your your Windows C, and if it's on your D, you're gonna have to do something else. I'll show that in a second. But click Program Files 86, go to your Steam Apps, Common, and then just find, should be somewhere over here, Fallout New Vegas. And then you'll set this as directory, and it should all install, as you can see right here. But if you're running NVMP, or not NVMP, Fallout on your D drive, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. You're going to go and you're going to click Client Files instead, because it just doesn't work if it's not on your C drive, but you can still play. So you're going to install this, the build release client, and then you're going to go to your Fallout New Vegas directory, and then you're going to drag that there, extract it, and then all those files are going to be there. So after you've done all the installations, and assuming it's all right, there should be the launcher, and you can just open that. It will be here, NVMP launcher, and then here is the main server, the official one. I'm not gonna talk about how to make private servers in this video because there are other videos explaining how to do it, and personally I've never done it, so I wouldn't know what to do. So what you're going to do here is you're going to click on the server and click Authenticate. Now when I click it, I think it's just going to connect me right away because I've already done everything, but you'll see what I'm talking about really quickly. There'll be this, and this is just scanning everything. When you first do it, probably going to say install all and join. Just click that. It might not work the first couple times. You just have to close the launcher and reopen it, and then it will work. You'll know that you're connected to the NVMP server when you'll see in the top left of your game there'll be this text. That will make sure that you know that you're actually connected and not just playing single player. So after you've created your character and you've gone through Doc Mitchell's house, you might be a little bit confused on what to do now. And that's really kind of up to you. So if you decide to just go to Prim and, run through the main quest, you can do that. Or if you want to just book it straight to Vegas, you can also do that. It's really kind of up to you, but there are some things you should know before you leave Goodsprings. Future Jack here. I forgot to mention that Goodsprings is actually a safe zone, so no one can actually harm you here unless you enable PvP by typing /PvP in chat. You can also not drop any items here. There are no item sinks in Goodsprings. And yeah, that's it. Sorry about that. The first thing is you should probably be in third person most of the time, because in first person you can't see these overlays, and that's like other people's names, like caps, locations, and stuff like that. And the next is that you're gonna want to save a lot, because if you crash or if you die, you're just gonna go back, and this game is gonna crash a lot. I've actually crashed maybe 3 times just trying to get this part done. So like, fucking game crash. To save, you could just click escape and do the save. That takes a really long time, but you can also just click F5 and quick save, and that is way faster, and it saves a bunch of time. So usually you just want to be F5ing as much as possible, because you could drop at any second, really. The next thing is how you type in chat. So if you click enter, you'll see this little thing, and if you just type a message there, it will go into local chat. And if you want to type in global, you'll click enter again, and then you'll do 2 slashes and type something. And next, there are other commands. You can dance, so if you do /dance, and if you want to stop, /stop. And there are a bunch of other commands, and you can just find those by doing /help and sort by pages, so like help to, and that will show you everything. There's also a really useful one is /gs, which will just teleport you straight to Goodsprings. So that's pretty cool. After walking around Goodsprings a little bit, you'll see that there's a bank building on the road. The bank is where you can access sparks. Sparks are the currency on NVMP. You can use these currencies to trade with other players. You can use them. You pay land upkeep with sparks. There are a couple shops and vendors that you can use sparks on in the game. So basically, sparks are what you're going to use to interact with the server. Caps are what you're going to buy for things from base game vendors and all that kind of stuff, while sparks are all the new stuff that the server adds. Now, you can get sparks by saving. Every once in a while, when you save, you'll get some sparks depending on when your last save was. And you can get 150 sparks every day from PvE. So that would be killing a gecko or doing an event, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So sparks are stored in the bank, the one in Goodsprings. There's also one in Prim. Sparks in your bank are not on your person. So these sparks they're tucked away in the bank, obviously, and you can withdraw and deposit them as you want. And then you have your wallet. Now, sparks in your wallet, those are on your person. So if you want to buy something, let's say you're at one of those vendors I mentioned, and I'll talk about that a little bit more also, you cannot buy that from your bank. You need to have those sparks on your person. So a drawback of having them on your person is if you get killed by another player, they will take your sparks. And so you got to be careful and make sure you don't have too much on you at any given time, or if you're going to go buy something, you be safe and make sure no one's around trying to, rob you. You can also pay other players' sparks, and you can do this by typing /pay space the amount of sparks you want to pay and that player's name. So for example, I want to pay Frank 500 sparks. I would type /pay 500 space Frank. So that's all there is about sparks. I'm going to talk about land captures now. If you've left Goodsprings at this point, you've probably come across a couple land captures. Most locations in the game have a land capture tied to them. These captures are the points that factions and groups can claim and they can fight over. Each capture has a bank, and you can access this bank if you own the capture and type /bank within the bounds of the capture. Captures require sparks to maintain, so your sparks will be in the bank or they will be in your HQ's bank, assuming you're a faction, and it will take the sparks out every single day for an upkeep. If you can't pay for the upkeep, the capture will be repossessed and will go back to being unclaimed. Now, if you want to capture something, you need to have 50 sparks in your wallet and type /start capture, one word, in the chat. Now, once you do that, the capture timer will begin and it will start going up until you reach 100. Now, the more members of the faction or group you're in that you have with you while you're capping, the faster the timer will go. So if you're solo capping a big cap, it will take you a really long time, as if there's 5 people there, it will take you not so long. Make sure while you're capturing, do not open your Pip-Boy or go into your menu unless you really need to. If you are solo capping, do not do it at all, because going into a menu will unrecognize you as capturing, and it will fail the cap if you are alone and don't have anyone else there with you. And if a cap is failed, there is a cooldown that is between an hour and 3 days, so you really don't want to do that. There's also a really cool tool you can use on the NVMP website. If you go to nv-mp.com/map, it will bring up the capture map, and this map is an interactive map that updates every 25 seconds that shows all the captures in the game, most of them at least. Some of them are interior captures, and so you can't see them on the map, but it will show most of the captures in the game, what faction or group owns them, and what captures are currently being taken or are under attack. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about some not so important things such as the Spark vendor and Spark shops. So right now there's only one Spark vendor in the server. His name is Lawson, and he can be at a number of different locations, and you can find him by typing in chat /Lawson, and that will tell you his location. So once you go there, he should be by like a truck, and if you just click to talk to him, he will give you his list of what he has. He sells weapons and armors, and you will see that he has his prices, and then he has discounts for WGS. What that stands for is the White Glove Society, and that's the name for the Patreons. So one of the perks of supporting NVMP on Patreon is that you get discounts at Lawson. Now, the next thing that you can get with Sparks is if you go to Gunrunners, there will be another Protectron by the vendor, and that Protectron, he will act as a shop, and so you can type /shop, I believe. So after you type /shop, he will give you some options where you can buy a radio and a building permit. A radio is used for communication within game. There is a voice chat in this mod, so with the radio you can communicate with the voice chat, from long distances. So you can change your frequency by doing /FREQ and then a number, so FREQ 474.2, for example. And then radios also have a text channel that you can type in, and that is /R space and then your message. And to use the radio voice chat, what you're gonna do is hold C and then V, and that will make you talk in the radio chat. And if you want to talk just normally in local, just hold /V, and that's how you talk in the voice chat. So now I'm going to talk about a couple more basic things, like some bugs and how to fix them, and also about legendary perks. And then I'm going to go into my favorite section of this video, the factions. Now, a very common bug that you'll run into is if you are far away from Goodsprings or your faction HQ and you do /GS or /HQ, you'll find yourself in this sort of void where some of the area is walkable and the other isn't. Now, a really easy fix for this is just to click F5 and then F9. That will reload your save and the ground will all be there and you can walk around as normal. Another very common glitch on NVMP is sync. So sometimes you'll be in the same spot as your friend and you won't be able to see him. The easiest way to fix that is to just go into a new interior. So if there's a building next to you, just go in and go out, and that should fix the issue. All right, before we wrap up on the basics section, I'm just gonna very quickly describe the legendary perks. Now, legendary perks are perks that you can get access to once you've hit the max level of level 50. Now, you want to be careful with these perks because they are very specific in their requirements, and so if you say have one more special point than you're allowed to, you will not be able to get the perk and you might have to restart your entire character. So these descriptions are quite long, so I'm just gonna say the name of the legendary perk and have on the screen the requirements for it and a little brief description. And all of this information is also in the Game Meta channel in the NVMP Discord, so I recommend you go there instead of listening to this part. I'm just including it just so you know what it is. Infantryman, Z10 Commander, Courier with no name, Master Caravaner, First Recon Specialist, Bloodied Warrior, Can We Talk It Out, Fire in the Hole, Radiation King, Master Handyman, Arsonistic Killer, Plasmatic, The Last Samurai, Master of Lasers, Ultimate Hitman, and Destroyer of Worlds. So if you want to get a legendary perk, which I highly recommend that you do that for your build, then go ahead in the Game Meta channel and all the information is pinned and it will be in there. Now let's finally move it to the factions. Before I talk about the different types of groups and factions, you should know that there are 4 ranks within the faction system. There's the leader, who is the one that created the faction. The leader can promote people, can set the HQ, can basically do anything you would think that an administrator can do with a group. Under the leader is the officers. Now the officers are promoted by the leader, and the officers can capture land, can set HQs, but they can't do as much as the leader. Under the officers are scouts. Scouts can be promoted by officers and by leaders. Scouts can only capture land. Their purpose is to go and capture land. And the final rank is member. Members are just members of the faction. They can't really do much as far as managing it goes. So there are 2 types of factions in NVMP. There are groups, and then there are official factions. So groups are basically the same as official factions, except they have certain limitations that officials don't. Groups can only have 20 members. They can't set an HQ. And what an HQ is, it's basically a place where everyone in the faction can teleport there instantly with a command. They can build in the HQ. They can put money in the bank in the HQ, which is important, and I'll explain that in a second. They don't have a name. They don't have a color on the map and in game, and they don't have a faction image, unlike officials. Now, official factions, they can have an unlimited amount of members. They can have an HQ. They have a group color and a group image, and they can pay upkeep from their faction HQ. So with unofficial factions, groups, upkeep is going to be charged from every individual location or from an online officer. So you pay upkeep every day, and so it's a bit harder as a group to expand to control a large area, because that upkeep, you need to go to every individual location and put sparks in there, unlike with an official where they just have one where they dump some sparks in and that will cover the whole faction. Now you must be thinking that groups sound pretty lame compared to official factions, but don't worry, because it is possible to switch from a group to an official faction. There is a form in the NVMP Discord that you can fill out, after you've made your group and everything, to request to become official, but I wouldn't do that right away. You definitely don't want to do it right away. There isn't a concrete list of things you kind of need to apply to become an official faction, but there are some kind of, pointers that you should follow. The first one being, you should have, I think, at least 15 members in your group before you submit the form. You want to be, liked by the staff, obviously. If they hate you, they're probably not going to accept you to become an official faction. And you're going to want to be active, obviously. They probably won't get back to you right away by saying a yes or a no, because they want to see how active you're going to be even while you're waiting to become official. So for some groups, it took them weeks. For some, it took them months. So it all depends kind of on how the staff see what needs to happen regarding the factions and the groups. So as of the making of this video, there are 7 official factions. 2 of them are from the base game. They aren't made up or anything. Those are the Brotherhood of Steel and Caesar's Legion. Now you might notice that the NCR isn't one of these groups, and because that's kind of just how the NCR rolls in NVMP, that being non-existent. The rest are all custom groups, and I'll list them out right now, so if you're interested in any of them right now, you can go ahead and join them. First off is the Renegade. They are a group of freedom fighters that are disgruntled from the NCR and Caesar's Legion, and so if you like an independent New Vegas, maybe you'll like joining them. The next are the Lone Rangers and the Desert Rangers. They're they're extremely different. The Lone Rangers, they have a radio show. Yeah. After them is the Talon Company, which you might recognize from Fallout 3. They are mercenaries and also money-grubbing bastards. So, you know, just an FYI. And the last official and also the newest of them is the Cazadors, which is easily the best faction of all time. I literally cannot think out of the entire Fallout lore a better faction. They're not even in the Fallout lore, and they're still just the best faction of all time. So, you know, just saying. And if none of those sound very interesting to you, there are also some groups that I would recommend you look at if you're looking for a group or a faction, which is the Followers of Apocalypse, which they're making a comeback right now. They were dead, but now they're getting revived with the new update. And also the NCR. They are a group right now, not a faction, but they are also trying to, you know, become official again, and they're working towards that, so that's pretty cool. And lastly, another group, the Goons of New Reno. Honestly, I don't even know what their faction is. I've tried asking, they won't tell me, so, you know, up to you if you want to join those guys. Now, if none of those groups interest you, or they haven't already swarmed you in Goodsprings begging that you join them, you can also make your own group by just typing /create group space name in-game. Now there are two more things I just want to talk about really quickly before I wrap up the video. The first one is housing. On NVMP, you can own property and furnish houses. I'm going to be honest, if you can find a house right now, good luck, because most of them are owned by people, and I doubt you're going to find an unowned one right now. But if you do manage to find one, you can purchase it by having the required amount of sparks in your wallet, and then doing /buy house. You can rename the house after you own it with /rename house space whatever you want to name it, and you can lock and unlock the door with /lock and /unlock. You are not going to enter the house just by going into the interior. You have to type /enter to actually get in. So inside houses, you can actually build furniture, and to do that, you need to get a building permit. Now, to get a building permit, we talked about this earlier, you got to go to Gunrunners, do /store, and buy a building permit, which costs 500 sparks, I believe. You can also change the interior of the house with /refurnish, but this is quite expensive unless you're a White Glove Society member, and it's free for them. And the last thing I want to talk about is trading. Now, you can trade items regularly if they are in a single stack. So if you're dropping just a piece of armor, you can just drop that on the floor and that's fine, and people should be able to pick it up. But if you're trying to trade in bulk, you're going to have to do that a little bit more complicated. It's not too hard. What you're going to do is you and your buddy are going to find a NPC that you can both see. You're going to kill that NPC, and then you're going to deposit the goods in the NPC's inventory. Now, sometimes it might not work, sometimes it does. It's really kind of weird. Most of the time I found it does work, but sometimes you just got to try over and over again with some corpses until you can get the item to show up. And yeah, that's kind of all the things you need to know when you're starting off on NVMP. I know this was a pretty long video. I didn't mean for it to be this long, so if you made it this far, you know, thank you for watching. This video took a lot of work, so thank you to everyone that helped me make it. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the Mojave Wasteland.